Hello everybody again, my name is Jordán Romero. I am a student in Instituto Tecnológico de Oaxaca and I am course the level B1M1 in my course of English. And this video is my final project of this level. In this case, I will going to explain a topic that I like me. In this case, the Formula 1. I will going to explain 5 different subtopics and the large of this video. I will going to start explain a little of the history of the Formula 1. In this case, in 1950, it was the beginning of the current Formula 1 or F1 said in a short way, but Formula 1 was a not made opening. On the contrary, it looked a little more than 50 years to be made because Formula 1 comes from what is known as Grand Prix, and the Grand Prix originality is a term used in France in 1894 for a car racing, and they were limited only in the race that place in France. Was founded in France in 1904, the Associación Internacional des Automóviles Club Records, AIACR, in sigils in France, that is the precursor of the current FIA, la Federación Internacional de Automovilismo. It's organized for the first time an international championship of pilots in the tires. This is suspending the competition during the Second World War and stopping the championship for 5 years after the end of the war. To better organize the competition, an organization which starts the driver championship and the constructor championship in Europe, gaining great relevance worldwide. This proves that big car companies come out to show who is the best, and the competition were later headed the Great Circus. This is because all time have polemic and a lot of emotion every race, a large of thing most in the year. Though both this competition not only car but such a Ferrari, Aston Martin, McLaren, Mercedes, Benz, Honda, and some more, including Renault Racing. In the last year, this team take the name of Alpine F1 Formula 1 team. But the championship of pilots also start out, such as the one who is considered the best pilots of all time, Juan Manuel Fangio, driver born in Argentina, winner of 5 driver championships and 24 Grand Prix wins, being the fastest and most reckless driver signs. At that time, all the last 5 drivers died in each driver championship due to the high speed and circuits they travel. These are also legendary rivalities between pilots, such as that between Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna. For me, Ayrton Senna is the best pilot in the history the Formula 1, beginning able to break Fangio's championship record if he had the opportunity. Unfortunately, he died due to a crash that happened in 1994 in Imola Grand Prix. After this death of the 3-time world championship, the FIA tightened the safety regulation for the circuits, the regulation for the construction of the cars, and its own integral regulations for the control of races and many said that racing is not a sport, but really the pilots need to present a great physical condition because they are subject to 50 Gs, and the human body faints at 5 Gs. Now, are we going to explain the last season? Because the last season is the best season in the last maybe 11 years. Last year, the driver that I supporting is Checo Perez, a pilot Mexican, was chosen by Red Bull Racing, of one of the best teams in the Formula 1. And they had the idea that if Checo won the Grand Prix always finished behind the Max Verstappen, they could win the constructor championship, but they had to beat the Mercedes teams and its two pilots. In this case, Valtteri Bottas and the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. This was really difficult because the Mercedes team had won the last 7 constructor championship and drivers championship, but thanks to the work of the Red Bull team and the work of their drivers, they were able to win the driver championship last year. They showing that if it doesn't make, if you have the faster car, if you have a good team strategy and drivers who work well together, they can change the outcome of a race. As it happened in the last race of the last year, of the last season, that made Max Verstappen a new world champion, which together submitted to follow Checo Perez's motto of that year, which said, "Never give up." That season was marked by controversy because the Lewis Hamilton delivery collided with Max Verstappen of 3,035 km per hour, and this sanction was not applied as it should have been because he really could have killed Max Verstappen. After that, the Mercedes team accused the race string of not being fair with the action of Max Verstappen for the rest of the season. If this won't mention that the personality of both pilots collide because Max was full of determination and was the ambition to win races, which leads him to aggressive on the track, and on the other hand, Lewis Hamilton is a bad loser, but for the same reason he will not be better by another driver, which make him the strongest driver on the track and shows all his experience in the race. Now I will explain a little of the rulers of the championship of the Formula 1. It's very important, and that we have to know is that there are 2 types of rulers in Formula 1. One involves the drivers and the others applies to the teams, but the rulers are made by the FIA, and these judges or observers that apply and enforce these rulers are members of the FIA, which are commonly called commissioners. In the Grand Prix race, the directors have the responsibility that all the rulers are applied in each Grand Prix. Last season, they were accused by all the teams of the Formula 1 of not applying the rules in a good way. All the rulers are handled by the FIA, but for the most part, they are the segments made between the same drivers and the teams that form part of Formula 1. Some things that some many not know about Formula 1 is the organization of the flags. Now I will want to explain that. Well, if a green flag comes out in the track, it means a clear track. In this case, we start the race or restart the race. If a yellow flag comes out, it will be necessary to lower the vehicle of the car in that section of the track, because maybe you have an accident in front or behind of he. If a red flag comes out, it will be necessary to stop the race, because for the reason of safety and integrity for the pilots, the race cannot be carried out in this moment. If a blue flag comes out, it will be necessary for the pilots to reduce speed, because the first place we have to overtake him. That is, he has lost a lap of the track. If a black and white flag happens, it means that the pilot has waiting for a dangerous maneuver. Finally, if a black flag comes out, it will be necessary for the driver to leave the track and return to the pit, since he has disqualified from the race. Exists in the same way virtual safety car and safety car. On the both occasions, though the track yellow flags are shown, and in the case of the safety car, for the pit zone, a super sport car comes out and all the drivers must start behind in their corresponding place. Now I will going to explain the cars in the Formula 1. This is very, very important, because it's form part of the Constructor Championship. In this case, all the times in the Formula 1 compete with this title. In the last 11 years, the Formula 1 have 10 different teams. Now, the cars that are used in Formula 1 are the works of the engineering of each team, and have rulers in the FIA to the build with certain specification, of which if they break any of these specifications, the team will be disqualified from the Constructor Championship and fined for having broken the rulers, and the drivers will still be out of the Driver Championship due to driving an illegal car. With this specification are the width of this car, the length, the width and height of the car. Also, the implementation of technology will be regulation by the same ruler. From 2011 today, the hybrid era has been track place, which has been dominated by Mercedes-Benz team for his power unit and aerodynamic chassis that start out by far from the other team. The teams that to not have the facilities to develop their power unit and great box can buy to other team that has a manufacturing engine factory. And for this 2022 season, the rulers of construction of cars changed, making them started and improving their aerodynamics, but making them heavier This is also due to the increased size of the tires they will use. Finally, I will going to explain my expectation of the next season, in this case of this year 2022, as the pre-season tests have not yet been seen in Spain, because the pre-season official test can be in 1 week before the start of the new season. It is too early to talk about the cars. However, we have the first views of them, and really the best for me is the new Ferrari, which proposited is to return the top in this year. I can mention the pilots of the pilots, which, in my opinion, the best ones will be Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc for the Ferrari team, followed by Max Verstappen and Checo Perez in Red Bull Racing Formula 1 team, and Lewis Hamilton and George Russell of Mercedes-Benz. These three teams will have to compete against Lando Norris. In my opinion, he can be a world champion in the future. My support is again with Checo Perez and Red Bull Racing Team, including Max Verstappen. They going to the Bahrain circuit with new strength and with the intention of winning again the World Championship of Construction and Drivers. Well, this was been all for today's video, and I hope you liked it, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.